digital arena, on the app, on your smartphone, on X, YouTube, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Donut Bag presented by The Sportscast.
The Donut Bag, hosted by Joey Bag of Donuts. And here's your host, Joey Bag of Donuts.
We are back after a nice little break in hockey. Olympics happened, nothing, pretty boring, nothing of significant happened there. But something significant, unfortunately, did happen for the Penguins. Sidney Crosby got hurt. Well, before we start with that, do you think Crosby getting hurt, and he wasn't the only one, there were a couple other players that are out for the year, I believe, that played in the hockey tournament. Do you think when it comes to 2030 that the NHL is going to do this all over again?
Yes, I think the attention that it brings to hockey outweighs even a person like Sidney Crosby getting hurt. Obviously, very unfortunate. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. But I mean, I think that the attention that this brings to the NHL and hockey, it just outweighs everything. And the players want to do it. It's not like the players are begrudgingly going over there and doing it. They're willing to take on that risk too. I just think that now it doesn't always translate into, greater television numbers or anything like that. But if you look at like the number of kids signing up to play hockey after the Olympics and things like that, that's where the benefit comes in. And after the last Olympics before these, there was a huge spike in USA hockey registration. And I expect the same thing will happen with this, maybe even more so since the US won.
Yeah. US hockey, I don't want to say it has to be as good as it ever has been. The level of talent that's out there. I just remember in previous Olympics, like, yeah, you had teams out there, but they were okay. It was nowhere near the level of the Canadians. And this team, I mean, nobody has the level of talent of the Canadians, but still, I mean, they went toe to toe with Canada.
Yeah, USA hockey is really strong right now. They're also producing much better goaltending than Canadian hockey or any other, maybe other than the Russians. The goaltending the USA hockey is putting out right now is really good. It's just so strong. And I mean, let's not forget to mention the women here. I mean, that game was just as exciting. And I mean, the level of talent on the women's team is off the charts too. And I mean, you don't have to look any further than right here in Pittsburgh. There is women's hockey and girls hockey in Pittsburgh. This is like the hotbed of women's hockey. Oh yeah. It's growing so strong. When I was growing up, the girls, for the most part, until like the late 90s, had to play on co-ed teams. But now there's, every organization in the Pittsburgh Amateur Hockey League has at least one women's team, if not more. And it's just off the charts. There were four women on the women's team that actually trained with Penguins Elite here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I know Mario Lemieux has a lot to do with that. I mean, the reason the Penguins are still in Pittsburgh, or there is a Penguins, is because of Mario Lemieux for many reasons. But Sidney Crosby seems to have really developed or been a part of developing like kids to play hockey. He has that program I think he's been doing for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And, it's like people that he has trained and has been in this program, I think ended up in the NHL.
Logan Cooley from West Mifflin. He is one of the best young players in the league. Unfortunately, I think he's out for the season with an injury. But he grew up in the Little Penguins program, or Sidney Crosby's program, and how he's in the NHL. And again, one of the top players in the NHL, top young players in the NHL. And they showed a picture during the Olympics. It was funny. I forget who it was, Jack or Quinn, or maybe both of them. They had Sidney Crosby's jerseys on. Now, they didn't come through the Little Penguins program, but that's, Sidney Crosby has an influence on them, and they're both Olympians now. They were wearing his jersey when they were little. They obviously were looking up to him. Sidney Crosby's just such an amazing person. I mean, you looked on Twitter the other day, and he's having his Little Penguins program up there with all the kids. And, obviously he's not out there skating. He's on the bench taping sticks for kids. He was tying one little girl's skates. Is there anything that this guy doesn't do wrong or doesn't, it's just amazing. He's such a great ambassador for Pittsburgh and for the NHL.
And for Canada.
And for Canada, of course.
I know Canada is obviously very disappointed. They were the favorite to win the gold medal. And I think obviously they wanted to win, but I think they really wanted to win for Sidney Crosby, because I think a lot of those guys just really looked up to him. And I think that's what hurt the most. And I think that's what hurt Sidney Crosby the most, that he couldn't be out there. Because I think, honestly, I think if he's out there for that gold medal, they probably win.
Yeah, I think he would have made a huge difference, especially on that 5-on-3 where they did not score. I think he maybe would have simplified things a little bit. I think they were maybe doing a little bit too much passing. But regardless, I think it was such a close game. And if you add Sidney Crosby into the lineup, that very clearly could have been the difference. So we'll never know, obviously, but don't put it past Sid to be in the Olympics in 2030 at the age of 42.
I think no doubt. I think he'll play. I think he'll play just for that. I think he'll play another 4 years just to be in that Olympics to avenge what happened. Dave says Team USA Hillary Knight playing in the Olympics with a torn MCL. She is. I mean, she was playing with a torn MCL, and for the gold medal game, they were saying that Sidney Crosby was close to playing, which he probably would have been like 60% or something like that. But with him being out for 4 weeks, obviously it was a pretty big injury. Yeah,
if he could have gone out there and skated on one leg, he probably would have. But I think that he also thought, I'm not going to take a roster spot for somebody else in the gold medal game if I can't go out there and be Sidney Crosby. He's a team first guy, and he's not
selfish like that. Yeah.
Hillary Knight playing on a torn MCL is, I don't know how you even go out and do that, let alone play the game that she did,
let alone be an impactful. Then she scored the tying goal or something like that. And crazy, just crazy. Honestly, I didn't even know that there was a women's hockey league, and apparently they're doing great. The attendance is very good now because the Olympics. Like, okay, cool. I honestly, I didn't even know. It'd be cool if they had a Pittsburgh team. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't. There was a game on Sunday afternoon, and I'm watching this. I'm going, man, the arena's like full. I think I want to say it was in Montreal. I could be wrong about that, but I would think if that league continues to be successful, that Pittsburgh's on a very short list to get an expansion team.
Oh, God, I'd go. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool. Yeah. Have games at the PPG Arena. That'd be cool. So the news was that Sidney Crosby would miss hopefully just 4 weeks. When you heard that, did you think, oh crap, the Penguins are screwed, or they'll be okay, they'll tread water, or they'll be just fine? What did you think?
The middle there, I thought that they'll be fine, or they'll probably tread water, maybe slightly above tread water until he gets back. But even that would be good enough to keep them in the playoff race. What they've done so far is amazing. Now, obviously blowing a 2-0 lead to the Rangers isn't great, but that game could have gone either way. I think that Brian Russ got robbed on a goalie interference call in that game, and that
how on earth was that goalie interference? He was barely there.
Yeah, that could have really made a difference in that game. I think they go up 2-0 that early. I think it kind of deflates the Rangers. But regardless, they still got a point out of that. They've gotten 5 out of a possible 6 points to come back from the break. They just play such a fundamentally sound game anymore. And I mean, they weren't happy about losing that extra point in New York. And, everything from the locker room and from, head coach Dan Muse was like, we need to be better. And boy, did they come out better on Sunday. I mean, the Golden Knights are a very good team, and they shut them out. That's only the second time this whole season that the Golden Knights have been shut out. I mean, that was just a clinic that they put on yesterday.
That was shocking. It was also shocking that the Penguins were on a second game of a back-to-back, coming home from New York, and the Vegas did not play on Saturday, and it actually was in Pittsburgh on Saturday, so they were well rested, and the Penguins kicked their butt. That was amazing.
It was. That game on Sunday had all the ingredients of a loss. I mean, second half of back-to-back, where the first game was a road game, had to travel back, pretty much 24 hours from the time the puck dropped in New York, and then the puck dropped here in Pittsburgh. Like you said, Vegas was already sitting here waiting for the Penguins, and they just took it to them. It seems like every game it's the special teams that's winning it for the Penguins. They had 2 power play goals yesterday, really kind of a third one. That Chinakhov goal was like right as the penalty expired. And the penalty kill has just been unbelievable. I think the power play was second in the league going into yesterday, and the penalty kill was fourth. I mean, when you add those two numbers together, Scotty Bowman always used to, I forget what exactly he called it, but he said if your power play plus penalty kill ranking is less than 10, then you're a playoff team. Well, when you add the Penguins penalty kill and power play together, I think it's like a 6 right now. So it's really good. And obviously they're playing well 5-on-5, but the penalty kill has been so good and the power play has been so good. And that's really like making a huge difference for them right now.
Dave says it's amazing when really talented teams play fundamentally good when the wins keep coming. But they're not a really talented team. Who's a star on this team now? Malkin, Raquel, like there's just a bunch of guys that are playing really well and playing together on all 4 lines.
But the guys that we would consider stars are living up to that. Like Carlson, especially, he's playing like the Carlson that everybody thought that the Penguins were getting when he was traded here. And Malkin, despite the fact that he's going to be 40 soon, he looks like he's 10 years younger. I think Chinakhov has kind of reinvigorated him. And, Crosby's being Crosby as always. And even Letang, I was a little bit surprised by the Kulak trade because I thought they were a good pairing, Kulak and Letang, because he had really started to play well before the Olympic break. But in the very short sample size here of Girard and Letang, he is kind of, picked up where he left off after the Olympic break at a much higher level of play. So the stars are being the stars. And then you have all these, Ben Kindle, who, he has 15 goals as an 18-year-old. That's nobody expected that. They're on pace to have 7 or 8 guys with 20 goal seasons. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, like pretty much everything that Dubas did this summer has hit. Mantha is, a 20 goal scorer. Again, the Chinakhov trade was highway robbery. The fact that he was able to get essentially now 2 second-round picks and 2 legitimate NHL players for Tristan Jarry is crazy. The fourth line is probably the best fourth line in hockey. it's just everything that he did this summer and during this season has been amazing. And, maybe there's one or two more moves left before the trade deadline.
It is. Yeah, he is just. It is just a Midas touch. I've never seen a general manager. Maybe the last time we saw something like this was Jim Rutherford.
Yeah.
That one period when he was building those Stanley Cup teams. But yeah, this is just amazing. But like you said, the fourth line is one of the best fourth lines, and I can't remember when we've had such a good fourth line or when they played as much. I think what's amazing and what really benefits this team is I haven't looked at the numbers, but I would imagine all four lines are playing basically the same amount of time. So it's like this is what you want. You want to roll four lines. This is exactly what you want, and it's happening. It seems like.
Yeah, I think in the Ranger game, I saw a stat. Nobody played less than 10 minutes, but nobody played more than 17 or 18. I mean, that's balance. I mean, when you can roll your four lines, and I thought it said a lot when Dan Muse started the fourth line in the first game back after the Olympics. It was just kind of like a statement, like, it doesn't matter if the first line or the fourth line, like, I trust any line to be out there in any situation. Within reason. Obviously, You're not going to put the fourth line out there on the power play. But, he has such trust in rolling his four lines. And not only that, he has trust in the young guys and the rookies. I mean, Ben Kindle made a pretty bad pass on Saturday that kind of led to a goal. I would say inadvertently led to a goal. And, in past regimes, he might have not even played on Sunday. But there he was back out there on Sunday, same role, same amount of ice time. And what's he do? He scores a goal. And he had a really good game on top of that. Same thing with Avery Hayes. I mean, he's comes from Wilkes-Barre, and he gets right up on the first line. And that would have never happened before. He would have tooled around on the fourth line. He would have gotten 6 or 7 minutes, and that would have been it. And it's very refreshing to see it. It's like, if you're going to call these guys up and they don't fit the mold of a fourth line player, they're a top six type of player, then put them in the top six. And that's what Avery Hayes has been doing. And I know we can't expect 2 goals per game every game, but he does not look out of place. They've gotten into a fight yesterday.
Right. He even gets into fights, which is so comical. He's a little tiny guy, and he could barely punch the guy. The guy was so tall.
Yeah, he has no fear. He reminds I think I said this to you before. He reminds me of Jake Gensel. I know Jake doesn't fight, but just no fear in going to the front of the net, no fear of fighting, no fear of hitting the other team's biggest guy. And man, to have a young forward like that with that type of mentality playing in your top six, that bodes well for the future.
Yeah. Right now he is. I guess right now there's a 1 and 1A and 1B line, because basically the Malkin line is considered the first line right now. But Raquel is the center on that. Let's just call it the Crosby line. Is that working out, or is that not going well?
The face-off numbers are not going well. They're way down on face-off wins, which that's an important stat. Face-offs, especially
where they really miss Crosby.
Especially in those overtimes, which the Penguins seem to go to every game. You lose the face-off in overtime, doesn't bode well. He's not a natural center, but I guess the only other options right now would be either insert Kevin Hayes into the lineup, put Ben Kindle there, or call up Tristan Brose. And I don't think any of those are really like stellar, options. So I think that's what they're going to work with right now. I don't know, long term, the trade deadline coming up next Friday, maybe they go out and get a better face-off guy. I don't know who. Jonathan Taves is out there in Winnipeg, worst team in the West, and he's on a 1-year deal. It doesn't seem like that's the type of guy that Dubas wants to bring in. He wants to bring in younger guys, and more draft picks and things like that. But he is a great face-off guy. I don't know if he would want to leave Winnipeg. That's kind of his hometown, or if there'd be any interest there. But that probably wouldn't cost you much. That would probably only cost you like a 5th round pick or something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he went out and got somebody to help with the face-offs, because even when Crosby comes back, you can never have enough guys that can take face-offs. And the other thing that I know you didn't ask me this, so I'm going to say it anyway. The other thing that they're probably going to be looking for is some right-handed defensive depth. I don't know where they're going to get that from. That you've heard a couple of names out there. I'm not going to go into the names, but it would be more of a depth thing. I don't think it would be like anybody to play in the top D pair or anything like that. But I think that Dubas has already made his biggest moves. But certainly, if Crosby is going to be out for 3 more weeks, they'd probably like to address that face-off situation, because they got absolutely killed in face-offs on Saturday afternoon, and they were a little bit better yesterday, but certainly not the same as when Sidney Crosby's in there. Going into the Olympic break, Crosby was second in the league in total face-offs won.
Yeah. I mean, that's where they really missed Crosby. Like, what do you do? Like why would you disrupt this team by adding someone when everything is going so well? I know it could be better, but what are they, 16-3-4 since Christmas?
Yeah.
Like, they're just going on all cylinders right now. It's like, okay, yeah. I'm sure they could possibly improve on defense, but I don't know. It just seems to be working so well now, except for the face-off thing.
Yeah, and I don't know who I would even take out of the lineup right now if you did bring somebody in. I mean, you don't really want to mess with it. Yeah, I guess it would be Avery Hayes. You don't really want to mess with that 4th line at all. And, the Malkin line, you definitely don't want to mess with. But, if you bring in a face-off specialist, you're probably going to end up shuffling the 2nd and 1st lines, because Avery Hayes will probably, like you said, probably be the guy that comes out. So, yeah, I don't know. And then when Crosby comes back, I guess whoever you pick up, if you pick somebody up, they become a healthy scratch as well. Face-offs are so important, though. You can never have enough, even like, Jeff Carter at the end with the Penguins. He obviously wasn't the same Jeff Carter as when he was with the Blue Jackets and the Kings, but he was still taking key face-offs, and winning them. And if you ever want to see how to effectively win a face-off, watch Jeff Carter take face-offs. You'll pick up some good pointers.
Interesting. The thing that's potentially interesting is the goalies. Shilov's he started the season strong, got a little shaky, but then recently he's just been amazing. I think I saw the past 7-8 games he hasn't given up more than 2 goals. He's really been solid, huh? He
has been, and he was actually named second star of the week in the NHL for last week for how well he played. Yeah, it's so interesting. I've said this before. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season the Penguins would be dealing from a goaltending strength, I would have said, how? I mean, Skinner's been great too, but I'm starting to wonder if he might be a trade potential at the trade deadline, because Miroshov has just been lights out in Wilkes-Barre. He made one of the most incredible saves I've ever seen the other day, a glove save. It looked like the Frank Pietrangelo save from the 1991 playoffs. It was unbelievable. So it does make me wonder, Skinner has been great. I have no complaints about him here, but I'm sure that there's a contending team out there that would maybe take a shot with him, even if not to start to have as the backup. I mean, who wouldn't want their backup to be a guy who was in the last 2 Stanley Cup finals as a starter? So I don't know. It'll be interesting. You don't see too many tandems of 2 guys under 25, which would be, that's the way it would be with Miroshov and Shilovs. But obviously Miroshov is the goaltender of the future. So, I don't know, if they would be comfortable going into the playoffs with the 2 guys who have, really, well, Shilovs does have playoff experience. He actually won a playoff round with the Canucks, or I think he went to Game 7. He was kind of like the 3rd emergency goalie in that series, and ended up going in and doing really well. And he did win the Calder Cup with Abbotsford, Vancouver's farm team. So he does have a little bit of playoff experience. Obviously, Miroshov doesn't have any. So that'd be interesting, though, because, man, if he could turn around Skinner for, another player, I mean, think about that. He would have traded Tristan Jarry for like 4 players and 2 draft picks. It would be unbelievable.
I don't think when Wayne Gretzky got traded, he got that kind of return. My goodness.
No. So we'll see, but that would be that's one interesting name that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Is will Skinner be part of a trade, because they do have the goaltending depth where they could certainly bring Miroshov up here and split time with Shilovs, just like Skinner's been splitting time, and I think that they would probably be fine.
They could get something good for Skinner. I'm talking minimum first round, a first round draft pick if they want to go that way, or just a fairly good player, not just some, just not just some, bum or something like that. So that would be extremely interesting. And when you say, well, what are you gonna, you can't really, how can you trust, like a Murashov or something like that? Like, hey, Matt Murray, it worked with him, so
yeah. And honestly, like, just making the playoffs this season is a bonus, in my opinion. Everybody thought that this team was going to miss the playoffs, or be, kind of an 8 seed, or, really struggling to even, make the playoffs. So, any playoff experience these young guys can get this season is just a bonus. And, if they could win a playoff round, even all the better. I mean, honestly, they're playing so well at this point. I think losing in the first round is we're getting to the point now where that would be actually a disappointment.
Right. We were talking, it's like, wow, maybe they can make the playoffs. And now it's like, wow, maybe they could win 1 or 2 rounds or something. I don't know if you saw the game on the Vegas game on TNT, but I guess before the game they were really trashing the Penguins. It's like, they don't give him a chance. And if you're just like a national person that looks at this team and you look at them up and down, it's like, what's this? Who are these people? There's nothing here. And then they just play so well, and especially the way that they just completely shut down Vegas, you can't help but be impressed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think a lot of the national guys realize how well the Penguins have been playing. They see the standings and they're like, oh, okay, they're there. But that doesn't tell the whole story. They've been playing so well since Christmas. And man, if they were even halfway decent in the shootout or overtime, they'd probably be in first place right now. Yeah. And they really have a shot at winning the division because they have Carolina 3 times in March. And they're about to go on a very bizarre road trip that starts in Raleigh next Tuesday, then goes through Vegas, Utah, Denver, and then ends back in Raleigh. It's very bizarre, but boy, they could bookend that road trip with 2 wins. And obviously you would hope that they'd win a couple of the other games. That would put them in a great position because right now, with having those 3 games left against Carolina, they're set up to really help themselves and maybe shoot for that division title.
Very interesting.
I can't believe I'm even saying that.
I
out
know.
loud based off
That would be insane. They were
Yeah.
7 points away from Carolina right now. Yeah, and they're what, I think 6 points ahead of Washington. So that would be what they're gunning for. They're not gunning for the wild card. They would have to be gunning for one of those division spots. So
yeah, and Washington's played 3 more games than the Penguins.
Yeah, 3 games in hand, which is another weird thing. You have to figure when Crosby comes back, he's probably going to be a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
First of all, because of what happened in the Olympics, and second of all, just for being out a month, I think he's probably going to go on fire.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way Malkin came back from injury. And when you, I got to be careful the way I say this. I don't ever want to see somebody get hurt, but maybe, Malkin having some time off, he's almost 40. Maybe Letang having some time off with that broken foot that he had, and maybe Crosby having some time off between all the games that he's playing in the Olympics. And again, I don't ever wish anybody to get hurt, and I don't want anybody to get hurt, but maybe the time off that each of the 3 of them has had and will have in this season, maybe it will end up being to their benefit, come playoff time.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what Crosby's going to do, because I think they're like I heard, well, he's so he's going to be so upset about losing the gold medal. It's like, well, I guess he's just gonna have to settle for a Stanley Cup this year. And it would not surprise me if he just put the darn team on his back and did that.
I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah. It's probably too early, but the Sam Girard, do you think he's doing okay with Letang, or do you think that's just Letang being back on his regular playing better?
I mean, like I said, small sample size, but I think that he's a little bit of an upgrade from Kulak in the sense that he's a little bit more offensive minded. Not much, a little bit more offensive minded. And he has been playing with such offensive stars in Colorado. So he's not going to be intimidated at all by the Crosbys, Malkins, Carlsons. And I mean, he probably won't be out there at the same time as Carlson, but you get my point. I think that they obviously got a little bit younger with him. And I think Dubas also liked the fact that he signed for 1 more year. Brings a little bit more stability. Kulak was not signed for next season, and he's a little bit of an older guy. So I think that from that sense, they like that. He's a smaller guy than Kulak. So, maybe a little bit less physical, but I was surprised when I was reading his stats. He has a lot of block shots. I think he ranks 5th in Colorado franchise history in block shots. Now, he was there for a long time, I think 13 seasons. So that would make a little bit of sense, but I didn't know that part of his game. I think it'll be a good pickup in the end. And like I said, the stability of having him here for another season, I think that will be helpful as well. And again, just another kind of sneaky good move by Dubas. Again, small sample size, but I think it's going to work out pretty well.
Yeah, Dubas is just firing on all cylinders. It's just amazing. And what, didn't he get a 2nd-round draft pick in that deal too?
Yes.
just he's collecting all the draft picks. It's just amazing.
They have so many draft picks in the next few drafts. They have 3 2nd-round picks just this season, this draft coming up. So
what are you gonna do? And doesn't he have a ton of cap space in the offseason too? So it's we're kind of good now. How good is this team going to be? It's scary and exciting. I hope they could beat Colorado, and I hope if they beat Colorado, they talk to McKinnon and he says something like, "Well, you be the judge of who the better team was," or some stupid thing.
Yeah, yeah, that was unfortunate comment. He wishes he could probably take back, but heat of the moment, just losing the gold medal game. I understand, what you're not thinking, but I mean, yeah, what a hockey game that was.
I did like that. Like they complained about the 3-on-3 format, which I think is not really the greatest format to decide a gold medal or those or playoff games. At least do 4-on-4 or something like that. But I mean, when you have all the talent of Canada, that should very much be at your advantage.
They had, in my opinion, their 3 best players on the ice when they got the golden goal got scored against them. So, and they also benefited from winning a game in overtime against Chechnya.
Right.
I think 2 games earlier. So, you can't have it both ways. I would agree with you. I don't necessarily like the fact that the gold medal game was decided by a 3-on-3. I would like to see 4-on-4 as well, but I also understand, like, you can't have these guys playing, like NHL playoffs, like having 3 overtimes, because that the way that the goaltenders were playing in that game, it might have gone into 3 overtimes. So I kind of get why they do it. They would have still been playing as the closing ceremonies were happening, probably, but
well, that's the thing. There's other events going on. We can't just play forever. It can't be like a NHL hockey game where we have 5 overtimes or something like that. It's like, we got to move this along. We have closing ceremonies. We got stuff going on here.
Yeah, and I'm sure the general managers for all the teams or all the players involved were like, okay, thank you. 3-on-3, let's get this over with. We don't need any more of our players getting injured. So
exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, what somebody on the Kings is just out for the year. There are other players that just got injured, and I mean that just stinks. But it happens. It was just such an intense tournament. It was amazing hockey.
It was even the games, not involving the U.S. and Canada. There were some great games as well, and it's a shame that only happens every 4 years. I know they're going to do this 4 nations thing in 2 years. I hope by then whatever's geopolitical stuff is happening with Russia gets sorted out, and I don't want to get into politics, but I'd love to see Russia be able to put in a team in the 4 nations just to see. I mean, because obviously they have some very talented players, and if we want to see best on best, you have to include them.
Exactly. All right. Well, how can people find you, follow you, and get more of your work?
You can find me on Twitter at PGHVC, and I'm also doing some work with Pittsburgh Hockey Now, and you can go to pittsburghhockeynow.com and find me on there probably 2 or 3 times during the week. I post something on there if it's a game recap or an article or something, so go ahead and check that out as well.
I love Pittsburgh Hockey Now. I like Dan. Dan is we went to a concert together one time, which was really weird. It was Green Day and Weezer, and I forget who the third band was. And my wife just got sick and she was just going to stay home. So I had an extra ticket, and I just put out on Twitter, I said, I'm going to the game and I'm going to the stadium in 30 minutes. If somebody wants to go to the concert with me, let me know and just meet me there. And he's like, sure, I'll go. And so we saw a concert together. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Dan is a big music guy, so I'm sure he enjoyed that.
That was fun. Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks so much for coming on. And there's a small possibility I might ask you to come on next week if something crazy happens at the trade deadline.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anytime.
All right. Hey, I'll see you.
All right. Bye.